Hello everyone, welcome to Career Talk. This is Anand. In today's video, we are going to talk about interviews. Yes, we are going to discuss what are some of the key things that you should be mindful of when appearing for an interview. What are some of the things that you should do and what are some things which you should not do in an interview. Alright, so let's assume that you got an interview call. The actual preparation for a face-to-face interview actually starts way long before you reach the venue, right? It actually starts when you get that call. As a first step, what you should do is you should research about the company or the client that you're going to interview for. So let's say, for example, you get a call from a company X. My suggestion is go on the internet and find out as much as information as you can about that company. Not only information about that company, you should also find information about their hiring process, right? How many rounds of interviews they have and things like that. So before you actually arrive at the venue, you should be prepared. You should also prepare your CV in that manner. So don't forget to carry a hard copy. Even if you have sent a soft copy to the HR or to the recruiter, always carry a hard copy of your CV at the interview. So at the venue, when you reach the venue, it is very key to appear confident, even if you are not. Right? At times, most of the people are nervous, but it is extremely important to appear confident. What I mean is, small things like a handshake, right? You should do a firm handshake. You should look into the eye of the person and talk, right? So these are some of the small things that you should do. When you go inside an interview room and there are 2-3 people in the panel who are going to interview you, make sure that you greet all of them, look into the eye, and smile, right? So that you appear confident. Now, whatever you have written on your CV, right? The one that you sent via email or the one that you are carrying, you should know it in and out, right? It's a crime not to know about your own CV, right? So my suggestion is when you prepare CVs, write only the things that you know. Write about only those projects that you have done in reality. And when you write in your CV, ask yourself some of the questions that actually the interviewer may ask you, right? About the projects, about the details of the project, about the risks or the challenges that you have faced, about what was so great about that project and things like that, right? But most people, what they do is when they start the conversation and the interviewer asks them a very simple question, let's say, tell me something about yourself, right? What happens is when people start to answer this question, they don't know where to stop. So they start talking about themselves, they start talking about their family, they start talking about their job, they start talking about their project, they just go on and on and on. The point is, the question is very precise. Tell me something about yourself. Now, the interviewer already has your CV, so they already know some stuff about it, about you, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to buy more time and read through your CV. So you should just be very precise and concise and tell them certain things about yourself which are mentioned in your CV and certain things which are probably not mentioned in your CV, and keep it short and sweet. Just don't go on and on and on. Right? Now, next thing is, wait for the interviewer to complete their question. Right? Now, the interviewer will ask you one question after another. What you need to do is, other than speaking, you should also have listening ability. So wait for the interviewer to complete their question and then with patience give your answer. Don't be in a hurry to give the answer, right? So that's another tip that you need to be very mindful of. Be very calm, be very confident and speak at your own speed, right? Don't rush into things, all right? One more thing which happens is at times the interviewer gives you something to write on a paper, right? They may give you some puzzle to solve or they may give you some scenario to solve. What you need to do is, other than solving the problem, is that make sure that you are very clean in terms of what you write, right? So maybe make it bullet points 1, 2, 3 or steps 1, 2, 3, okay? Don't make it hodgepodge, okay? Or messy. Make it very clean and clear. Sometimes people in an interview are very scared to say no. What I mean is people are sometimes, very uncomfortable in saying no or in saying I don't know. So if you get a question for which you don't know the answer, just tell them point blank you don't know the answer. Tell them, okay, I'm sorry, I don't know that answer. That's fine. Rather than trying to guess, it is always better to say no and move on to the next question. Next important thing is your ability to recall real life examples, right? When you're going for an interview and you have worked, let's say 3-4 years in some company or for some other customer, you always expect that the interviewer is going to ask you questions around those projects or around those clients, right? So your ability to recall some of the real life examples in terms of the challenges faced or in terms of some of the highlights, those are things that you should be prepared, okay, to answer in an interview. So those should not come as a surprise, and you cannot be in a situation where you need to think on the fly, okay. So all those examples, all those scenarios should be ready-made in your mind even before you arrive at that venue. After that, the important thing is also being on the point, right? Sometimes the interviewer expects you to just answer the question to the point and not beat around the bush. A lot of times, when we don't know the precise answer, we try to give a round and round and round answer, which the interviewers don't appreciate, because there are a lot of people lined up, whom they want to interview. So, don't beat around the bush. If you know the answer, just be on the point, or just, say sorry and move on. One more point which comes to my mind is your ability to ask questions to the interviewers, right? Because in the interview process, there will be an opportunity probably towards the end or in the beginning or somewhere in the process that you will get an opportunity to ask questions, right? That is the opportunity that you should not lose. You should clarify all the doubts or all the queries that you have in mind in terms of your potential prospective employer, right? Things like, how will the CTC look like? What are the components of the CTC? Are you hiring for a bench or are you hiring for a project? What kind of role will I get? What kind of title or designation will I get? What is the policy of your company to promote employees, right? What is the policy in terms of increments, salary increments over year, and things like that. So any doubts that you have, any queries that you have in your mind, you should utilize that platform also to ask those questions and clarify those doubts, right? It is not just about giving answers. One more thing is, at times what happens is people are sometimes not confident or they're not comfortable expressing themselves in English, and that's a big drawback, okay? Believe me, in a corporate environment where most of the customers, most of the clients outside India are using English as a business language, you should always speak in English, okay? So even if you are not very confident, don't move to a regional language or don't move to Hindi, okay? Always stick to English. Even if you're not able to express it, slow down, take some time, but always talk in English, okay? My recommendation is never switch to Hindi or any other language in an interview. Even if the interview is talking to you in Hindi, try to come back to English, okay? Sometimes they try to help you articulate, but that does not mean that you continue speaking in Hindi. Always speak in English. In a nutshell, what I think is preparation is a key, right? So don't go to any interview unprepared. It is really important that you prepare for an interview. In fact, you should take help from some of your colleagues or friends or relatives at your home and do some mock interviews, right? So just don't show up on an interview without preparation, okay? Showing up without preparation is like a crime. You're losing or letting go of an opportunity to get a dream job or to get a extremely good offer, right? Just because you're not prepared. So make sure that you do some mock interviews at home or with some of your friends. It always helps. At times when you're doing telephonic interviews, I think the communication part is extremely important, because in telephonic interviews what happens is sometimes there's a noise, sometimes you are in a crowded place. Make sure that both the parties are in a place where they can talk comfortably, otherwise there's no point in giving telephonic interview. Don't give an interview standing on the road or standing in parking and things like that. Book some time after working hours or on a weekend and things like that to make sure that you are in a comfortable sitting. Remember that the person has a copy of your CV, right? So it is extremely important that you too have a copy of your CV in front of you, because the questions that are going to be asked are based on the CV, right? So if you don't have it in front of you when you're speaking on the phone, you will not be able to connect, okay? Because most of the times people ask you questions based on what you have written in the CV. Okay, so if you're walking on the road, or standing in a parking and giving interview, you may not be able to connect with the project or with the description or with the technology on which the question is being asked. So these were some of the things which I thought I should share with you. And do share your experiences with us. We'll be glad to include some of them in our next video. Thank you for signing in. Appreciate your time. I'll see you next week. Till then, bye.